in the background. Jeff Eichen, episode 279. I hope you're dealing with everything that you need to deal with, but I'm going to come on right about now. So, Catherine Deneau, she's not going to be on today. She's going to be on next week, everybody, but she is freaking amazing. And she's with Lawrence Cherniak, and we'll have a little chat with Lawrence in a few minutes. And he'll be on via a recording. And today we have superstar guest star from HempFest, the 30 years in the making of ending prohibition through of pro festival. And so you see me behind my poster. Can you wait? Let's see if I can move my poster here. If I can, and if I can do some magic, I can make me brighter. Okay. So I'm a little bit cold today, not in my nostrils, but I couldn't bring up the warmth on my camera today, so we'll just have me as a cold ball today. But it's a beautiful day to talk about what you can do to help your elders and your people, who are losing their marbles because they're not using enough cannabinoids to assist their brains, which have cannabinoids. We know the Canna moms, everybody, have helped their children. They moved from Florida to Colorado just to get, the Charlotte's Web and others. Hang on, got to come back to me here. Okay. And other cannabinoids that actually help them with their cancer, actually help them with their, with their epilepsy. So it's really amazing what the plant does. I have this book that I've been reading. I read to you a little bit last week, and maybe I'll read a page today. But anyways, it's Reefer Madness. And it says here, America's black market is much larger than we realize, and it affects us all deeply, whether or not we smoke pot, rent a risque video, or pay our kids and nannies in cash. Reefer Madness is the best-selling author of The Fast Food Nation and turns the exacting eye on the underbelly of the American marketplace and its far-reaching influence on our society, exposing the American mainstays, pot, porn, and illegal immigrants. Schlesler shows that the black market has burgeoned over the past several decades and draws compelling parallels between underground and the overground. So that's pretty amazing. The underground, the overground, how the tycoons and the gangstas rise and fall, and how the teachings of the shapes of the ones and how big business learns and the profits from the underground. Reefer Madness is a powerful investigation that illuminates America's shadow economy and the culture of the castes that shadow. So get your orange sunshine, everybody. 150 million tabs were dropped on America so we could wake everybody up. Get back to love and welcome today's superstar guest star, Vivian McPeak. And we love having Vivian on. Let's see if I can find my my sound effects here, because Jeff, I can love sound effects. Hang on. We can go. Did that happen? That happened too short. Hang on. Okay. So we're here. We're hanging out in the room here. Yes, there you go. And hopefully everybody has sound today on the outside world. Sometimes I record this and I get no sound, and nobody calls me in. So it's great to be here with Vivian today and to share some space and time about how we're feeling physically and emotionally about not only regime change or what's going on in this world, because we don't like to get into this versus that. We like to just want to end prohibition. So sit back, everybody, roll a big one, and I'm going to introduce you to Vivian McPeak, the founder, the mainstay behind HempFest Seattle, who had a protestable festival for 30 freaking years, probably the biggest one on the planet, or the most successful one, or the longest running one. Say hello, Viv.
Howdy.
Hey. So give us
What's
give
going on, man?
yeah, well, yeah, the gong has rung for ending prohibition. Tell us a little bit about your background, and do you have your copy of your book with you?
Oh, I'm sure I probably do. I cannot.
Don't kill the the Tower of Leaning Pisa there.
One out of my little stack of books I'm working on.
Okay.
Yeah, this is what we got going on right there. That is my book, Protestival, a 20-year retrospective of Seattle Hemp Fest. Uh, we raged for, there's the back of it right there, you know.
Recording in progress.
So it's great to have a brother in arms that has been at it for so long and has seen the promises from the government, from each regime, and what the fuck, and then we had who did the war on drugs? Was that Nixon?
Nixon's the one that declared the war on drugs. And yes,
And who did
federalized the drug war, basically.
who did three strikes? Was that Clinton?
Oh, I don't think so. I don't remember exactly where three strikes came from. I wouldn't. I think it. I don't know. I don't want to speculate. I have my thoughts on it.
Right. So we're not one side or the other here because we know a lot of incredible, powerful weed people are on one side, and a lot of credible weed people are on the other.
I have to admit, bro, I'm one side,
Okay.
the other.
Okay.
I'll dance with you, man. I'll dance with you.
As the owner of my show, I kind of stay neutral. So if I take dirty money, I can turn it clean. But the idea is where is and what is. And so today we're gonna hang with Vivster, and Viv is totally on one side and totally clean to the marijuana machine. Tell us a little bit about the history of your protestival, Seattle Hemp Fest.
Yeah, I gotta make one minor correction. I was with HempFest from before the beginning, but I'm not the founder, and that's a good brother named Gary Cook, and
Okay.
and let me just kind of go back.
Yeah,
In the
let's
way
have a little Hemp Fest moment.
the way back machine, right? Um, and yes, as we fall through the wormhole. Um, I started this group called the Seattle Peace Heathens in the mid '80s, a volunteer community action group here in the Seattle area. I was really targeting like music and protest culture people and at-risk youth, as to create an organization that they could join as volunteers and get involved in volunteerism and do community service and kind of learn the power of that, right? And do good things in the name of the counterculture, right? The alternative culture. And we started doing a bunch of cool projects. The Seattle Crisis Resource Directory Guide, which I have right here, a copy of. We distributed 21,700 copies of the Crisis Guide. There's our little Peace Heathens logo.
I love that, Peace Heathens. I love that.
These were free, and in here it's got information on AIDS resources, anonymous 12-step groups, chemical dependency, clothing resources, communications resources, consulting, nurse helplines, counseling, mental health, disabled resources, domestic violence, driver's license restoration, DSHS education, elderly resources, emergency funds, referrals, emergency phone numbers, employment, ethnic minority, food banks, hate crimes, homeless resources, housing, utilities, legal resources, meals, medical, mental health, pet clinics, needle exchange, organizing, parenting, pregnancy, sexual assault, domestic violence, sexual minority resources, shelters, showers, STD testing, storage for homeless people, transportation, veterans resources, voting, and youth. And
That's all in the table of contents?
yes.
What the fuck? And it's so skinny. Yeah, I know.
250 listings in 28 service provider categories, right? And these were free. We gave out 21,000 of these. This is was in the 6th edition of it.
Is it out now? Is it out now?
No, it's way defunct now.
Can we scan that and use it or update it and give it? People need that because they're so lost in Apple News.
If you go to seattlecrisis.org right now, we still have a website up. It's just that it's pathetically out of date. We haven't fact checked the information in over 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Peace Evenings was this really cool group that we had, and we did a lot of cool events, benefit shows for a variety of causes, and I was emceeing a bunch of the benefit shows for the Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, for the Sea Shepherd boat when it was in Seattle, and it was docked, and somebody sabotaged it and threw a wrench in the turbine. So we threw a show at Kane Hall with Jim Page and Annie O'Neill and the Herbivores to raise money to get the turbine fixed. And we did Big Mountain Support Group, the Native American cause, where they were, doing mining, on sacred native lands and poisoning their water and stuff. And the Northwest AIDS Foundation and stuff like that. And I was emceeing these shows, right? And so I was also a part of the Seattle Peace Concert series. And that started in the early 80s by the Love family, the Love Israel hippie commune, spiritual hippie commune folks. And it's still going today, believe it or not. And it's a different show in a different Seattle park for free, a free peace concert all throughout each summer, right? And so I was on the board of the peace concerts in the late 80s. And we did a peace concert at Gasworks Park in 1990. And that was right as the original George Bush was doing the original invasion of Iraq, of Kuwait. And long story short, we decided to do a peace vigil. A bunch of us, there was this double-ended rainbow tent called the Seattle Portable Outdoor Theater, the Spot Tent, that was at the Rainbow Gathering every year. It was a Rainbow Gathering installation. And Randy and Turtle had set the Spot Tent up in Gasworks Park, right? This beautiful, Bedouin tent with rainbow stripes with giant metal bands. And we decided at the concert, Don Glenn, the late Don Glenn, who was running the concerts, got up and he said, it's hard to have peace in the world when the president is preparing to wage war. And we decided, we're not going to leave the park. We're going to do a peace vigil until there's peace in Kuwait and Iraq, right? Until America pulls out. And so about 100 of us spent the night. And the next day, the Seattle Parks Department shows up and their security guy, and he's like, what is this? And go, well, it's a peace vigil. We're a political occupation in the park. We're not leaving. I remember he started laughing real hard. And he says, well, I'm going to be back in an hour with a tow truck. And if you guys aren't out of here, I'm going to tear this tent down. And so we're looking at Gasworks Park, which is an old oil refinery that was, that was converted into a park. And they still has the towering tower structures surrounded by fence. And it's got a big covered area, giant structure with all kinds of metal, giant piping and stuff. It's a big, huge structure at the end of it where the stage is the platform that's used as a stage. And in that structure, they had picnic areas with running water and grills and outdoor, stuff exposed, but covered. And we decided, hey, that's a better spot. Let's move into the Gasworks infrastructure, right? That's a way better spot to spend, to stay in than the tent. And so I remember the look on his face when he shows up at the top of the hill at the parking lot with his tow truck, and he sees this procession of people carrying all of our stuff into the covered area, right? The picnic areas and stuff. And so we ended up spending 6 months there, right? And Allen Ginsberg and Timothy Leary came and visited us. We did workshops, we did rallies with 5,000 people. But what I'm getting to,
this is in the 80s.
This is 1990.
Okay.
And what I'm getting to is somebody decided that they were going to do a Washington State chapter of NORML, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. And he had this really cool logo with a pot leaf, and he put flyers up everywhere and said the first meeting, the organizational meeting, was going to be, we called our Peace Vigil Peaceworks Park. It's Gasworks Park. We called it Peaceworks Park, was the name of our vigil. And so he advertised that he's going to have this startup meeting at Peaceworks Park. And so about 40 people showed up, except him. He didn't show up to this meeting. And so it was really anticlimactic. And there was a guy there named Gary, and he says, we got to do something. This is bullshit. And let's do something. Let's do a hemp fest. And he just pulled this idea out of his, whatever. And people have said, well, you should get Vivian to MC it, right? Because I was MCing all of these various shows, benefits. And I had seen Gary. He used to be on the Ave, and he'd have a little table on the Ave with The Emperor Wears No Clothes, Jack Harris' book, which had just come out, right, in 87.
Right.
And he would have a bowl of pot seeds, and he had an Uncle Sam's hat and a marijuana lane. He's like, sow the seed everywhere. Hemp can save the planet. And I would see Gary because I'd be putting up posters, PC this posters, and Sticker Bush. I was in a band called Sticker Bush at the time. So I was postering the Ave, and I'd always run into Gary, and we'd stop and talk at his table. But I didn't know his name. He didn't know my name. And so I get this call, and it's like, hey, man, my name's Gary, and I was at I guess you left before I made this statement at the NORML thing. But I want to do this event. I want to do an event called Hemp Fest. And in fact, I don't even think he called it Hemp Fest yet. It was a hemp and energy, hemp alternative energy fair, I think is what it was called. The first year. But anyway, I'm like, yeah, and he says, people tell me you should MC it. I'm like, well, that sounds really cool. I'd be glad. Let's do it. Let's help out. And then once we finally met, he goes, oh my God, you're Vivian. I said, you're Gary, right? Because we already knew each other. So that's how I got involved, right? And so it was really Gary's idea. But I was there from the very beginning, and I'm like, look, the Peace Eaters, we've got this group, we can put flyers up. We've got these giant handheld CB walkie-talkie radios. We can be your security team, right? And stuff. And so it was kind of a natural fit. And our first event was at Volunteer Park, and we had like 500 people. And we're like, dude, it's huge. You see that? There's like hundreds of people. Not knowing it was going to get to be 100,000 people and become inarguably the largest annual cannabis reform event in the world for about at least 18 or maybe 20 of its 28 years. And so we did 3 years at Volunteer Park, and we maxed it out. And then we moved to Gasworks Park, where initially the idea had come in 94. 55,000 people showed up. Gary rented a plane. We had a plane flying over Seattle with a giant banner with a pot leaf that said Hemp Fest, and the date, right? And it was just a clusterfuck, man. All of Wallingford neighborhood, people couldn't get to their homes because traffic was backed up everywhere, and just like paralyzed everything. That so many people came to it, and so then we moved. So we decided to move to Myrtle Edwards Park, and it stayed there for 25 years, right? Because it met all the multi-pronged criteria.
That's down on the water.
Right downtown Seattle, on the waterfront, in a couple of Seattle's most beautiful jewel parks that are all conjoined 1.3 miles long. And we were the biggest cannabis rally for many years, but that's what you want to be is the best. And I think that we were the best. We were the most sophisticated, complex, and socially responsible pot rally I think that's ever existed, frankly. There's a list of maybe 20 things that we did that nobody else has ever cared to do. That I think were beyond, above and beyond the call of duty. You know,
And you supported the incarcerated.
we did. We actually held raffles. We had raffles at HempFest and raffle events that we threw to raise money. We put on George Martirano's commissary and Jeff Mazensky, and other inmates.
They were both there. They were both there. I filmed them both there.
And they eventually, and we advocated for them and did letter writing campaigns. And they eventually got out and came to HempFest.
With Freedom Grow, with Freedom Grow.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Kristen Floor, the amazing activist in Freedom Grow. And that was, for us, that was the highlight. That's what it was all about, you know. And I mean, it was about medical cannabis, absolutely, and getting safe, legal access for patients. And it was about industrial hemp and you know, getting industrial hemp as a viable, amazing, multifaceted resource for the planet and for people, and you know, food, fuel, fiber, and all that. And but most importantly to us, it was about getting people out of jails and prisons. We were doing it to defend our culture, right? It's cool that there's this industry. You know, it's a big part of it, and it's very important.
I know Tommy Chong showed up. Did Jack ever show up? Come on.
Jack never missed a Seattle Hemp Fest while he was alive, except the year that he had his first stroke. Jack was at the absolute first one in '91. He was at every one. He was a dear, dear friend of mine and stayed at my house, you know, and in the early '90s. And Jack was a force to be reckoned with. Dennis Perone. I mean, you know, it was a who's who of the entire North American cannabis reform movement, and really to some degree drug policy reform movement, and even internationally. People come from other countries to speak.
Well, and then you licensed the name, correct?
Well, we got a trademark on the name HempFest because a lot of people were doing what we call pot concerts and trying to pass them off as HempFests.
Right.
And Seattle HempFest was very educational, and that was the main thrust of it was education. We had a giant 400 by 100 foot circus tent called the Hemposium, where we had panel discussions take place all day, almost every day, all 3 days of the event, and keynote speakers, and we did a big VIP party there.
I was never a panelist, but I freaking loved going in there and filming the women's panel, the growers panel, you know, whatever it was. I think your propaganda was very, very, very amazing. Does that book that you have, the protestable book, chronicleize the years?
Yeah, that book was in honor of the 20th anniversary. And so what it does is it's the first 20 years, it tells the story, and it's got 160 pictures in it or more. And it's 20 chapters, and each chapter is a year. And each chapter starts with the poster from that year as a full page. You can see there's the actual post, the whole thing, but we only had room for that much of it there.
That's Corey Kotzka.
Yes, that's Corey Kotzka Inch. And if I back up a little bit, there's a picture from the main stage to give you an idea, you know.
Nice. How'd you get that aerial shot? Was that a helicopter? There was not drones back then.
Actually, that was a paraglider. That
was
nice. That was one of our people who paraglided over the event.
Wait. Yeah.
There's the first poster that Kotzka and Corey Ench did for us, right? In 2009.
Oh, that's a beauty. Look at that. Look at that. We got the city background. We got the hemp lady. Amazing.
And that's oil paint these, right? She was just an amazing artist. And there's to show you, not to overdo this.
I saw Corey last year at the Oregon Country Fair.
there's a picture of Jack and I right there on the main stage. You know.
Good one, everybody.
So, and there's a DVD in the back of the book called "No Prison for Pot" of the documentary that we did the first year that Woody Harrelson came to speak. He came a couple of years. He was a riot.
Tell us about Tommy Chong. How did that unfold?
Yeah, Tommy Chong came and he came to the event. I forget what year. It was towards later, like maybe 2017 or something like that. Not long after he got out of prison, I believe.
For bongs, for selling his son's bongs.
Yeah, I might have the year wrong on that, but that's my recollection. It's all a blur to me. It was a tremendous journey to justice. You know, we did a lot of things. Like I was mentioning things we did to make it socially responsible. We had a volunteer voter registration crew. We registered over 10,000 voters at HempFest. The event was extremely long and narrow. It was 1.3 miles long, right along the waterfront, right?
Being a photographer, I had to go from one stage to the next. I must have done 40 miles a day.
I feel you. And so, you know, we spent 20 grand on a Medic One fire department ambulance and medics on site. And we had our own volunteer first aid team. And that was really the first responders at HempFest were actually our own people.
Right.
And they would assess the situation. And if it needed more, then they would call the fire department medics. But at around 4 o'clock, when it gets close to 4:20 on both sides of it, it would get so packed that it would take you too long to get from one end to the other, right? And so I rented extra heart defibrillators, and I had a heart defibrillator stationed at the stages along with stop the bleed kits that we made.
Whoa.
Well, so that our own first aid people, which were in sections throughout the event, could respond very quickly to somebody having a heart attack or a massive bleeding incident, and address that before the fire department had the time to get there, right? We had, because we're right on the beautiful Elliott Bay, which is a sensitive ecosystem water area, we had toxic spill kits at our quartermaster, right? So that we could address a toxic spill if it was to happen, you know, regardless of what that could be. It could be gasoline or diesel fuel from the generators or something like that. And we did.
Or terrorist.
We were really the Eagle Scouts of the cannabis culture, man. I mean, I could talk for so long about all these crazy things that we did.
And what month? What month was the show? Was it in September? When did you have it?
It was the third weekend of August, traditionally.
And so after the show, did it take you a solid year to produce the next show?
Absolutely, it did. Here, I'm grabbing something. Yes, we worked on HempFest all year. I can tell you that all 365 days of the year, somebody was working on HempFest. We were on site for 10 days, sun up, sundown, in fact, 24 hours a day. We had the venue for 10 days. We had that entire three conjoined parks for 10 days. We were responsible for it for 10 days. We had 24-hour security. We had a 24-hour presence. We had an operations compound, a quartermaster compound, which we called Quarter Monster. And that's where all of the equipment was stored and issued out and maintained, and everything from tables and fencing panels and chairs to, you know, bullhorns and generators and radios and, you know, you name it. Signs. We had about 400 signs that we maintained. We had our own internal security called the HempFest Safety Patrol, and I want to show you these actual badges that we had. I'll show you these badges.
Oh, nice. I need one. Yeah, those are cool.
And they were made at Smith and Warren, that makes the actual police badges, right? All over the country. And you can see that Seattle HempFest Safety Patrol, and that's a beautiful ceramic leaf inlaid there. And, that's from the executive team, had the gold. And then the silver was the, black shirts, gold, silver, gray shirts. 100 trained licensed, no, 100 trained in conflict resolution and nonviolent communication stuff. People and trained in our policies as well. So it was an unusual. It was unlike any other pot event.
And there were vendors there. There was food there. There was
300 arts, crafts, food, and informational vendors. Yep, 300. At one point, we had 6 stages. We would have about average of 120 bands perform over the 3 days, and about 200 speakers from all over would also, talk. I made sure that
I was on the mic there once. I went up with Freedom Grow and I got to say hemp hooray and talk about my time with Jack and him sending me to the state capitol in California to give the hemp initiative because they were too stoned. I mean, that thing. Tell us a little bit about the legality of imbibing during 420 and how the police turned their heads.
Well, in the beginning of Seattle Hemp Fest, the police were pretty aggressive, and they're doing buy busts and undercover stuff and busting people selling brownies and shit like that.
You mean they would be dressed with tie dye and then they would whip out their badge?
Not necessarily tie dye, but they would come in plain clothes.
Right.
There were never a lot of arrests there, even in those days, but there would be like a couple, like maybe they're just trying to show that they're doing their job or something like that. There was always open smoking at Hemp Fest. The very first Hemp Fest in Volunteer Park, I'm up there and I'm emceeing and stuff, and I notice people reacting to something behind me, right?
Right.
And I turn around, and Gary and Chris Bowman, Christopher, as we used to call him, the late Chris Bowman, they're bringing out these giant budding pot plants and putting them on the stage, right? And then later, they're throwing joints out from the stage. And on the third year, we did a bongathon. We actually raffled off. We actually had 8 volunteers come up onto the stage from the crowd, gave everybody an eighth of weed and a little bong and a lighter. And whoever smoked all the weed first won. It was kind of ridiculous. And so we had plants on the stages for the first couple of years, and we somehow got grandfathered in, and we kind of eventually struck kind of an unwritten agreement with the city of Seattle that we would make sure there was no sales at the event because it wasn't Felony Fest, right? But we thought that smoking a joint was an act of civil disobedience, a way of protest.
Right.
But selling was not a protest. Selling was a monetary exchange, right? It was a commercial thing. And so we said, we're not going to enforce smoking, but we're enforce selling at the event. And the police completely backed off. And it took years, but the police, the other thing is they saw that we had this incredible security operation, what we called the safety patrol. Originally we used to call it security, but it kind of went to people's heads. So we're like, you know what, we're going to take that word security out. They give a stoner a badge and a radio and call them security, and they start becoming on a real big trip. So we called it the safety patrol. And eventually they're like, you guys have this wired. You have 100,000 people in there. We're not very popular. Give us your radio. We're going to be at our little command station outside on the perimeter. We'll put our radio on your security channel. And if you need us, call us and we will be there. And so that's pretty much how the last 15 years was.
Well, because Seattle and Colorado were the first legal states, we had a little bit of lenience with the cops because they probably went home and used some CBD lotion on their joints, and salve, and and they were sensitive, and they were digging the fact that the laws were lightening up, and they didn't have to arrest anybody or go in, street clothes anymore. Because look at that photo I just put up with all those people there. How could you fucking go in and deal with that as a police to police them? And we were a legal state finally after all the years of since.
And that's a tiny fraction of the attendance. That's just the people in front of the main stage, right? Which was kind of my office because I was emceeing most of it.
Right.
But we did a couple of things around, I wanted to say 2000. We passed the lowest police priority in the city limits by an initiative to make cannabis use, cannabis smoking, the lowest police priority. So it was officially like a law.
So was that actually on the table in the law books?
Yeah, we passed a citizens initiative. We went to vote in Seattle, and it won.
How fantastic!
Yeah, it was called Sensible Seattle. And
oh my God, that's
several people: Dominic Holden, Ben Livingston, Tim Turmoil, if I remember, from HempFest, were all a big part of that. And the other thing is that nothing ever went wrong. In 28 years, we never had a serious injury, accident, or arrest at HempFest, a serious arrest.
There was no people carted out. That's great.
And so the city and the police, like, they saw that. They're like, you guys have this down. And we earned their respect. It took us years. We earned their respect. We had really good friends on the force there that worked with us. And they would have us, and this is almost embarrassing, before the event, for maybe the last 15 years or so, before the event, right before the event, like the weekend before, they would have me and a couple of organizers and members and leaders of our security team down in the West Precinct, downstairs in the bowels at their post 911 emergency command station.
This was an annual thing?
And this is a room with like maps and digital, computer screens and digital maps on the walls and stuff. And they would go over all of our evacuation protocols, our safety plans, our ingress, egress plans to help us make the event safer. And they even came to us at one point and said that when after 911 happened, they wanted to take bomb sniffing dogs around at certain spots in the event, like the stages and stuff, right? And we said, absolutely, sure, because they saw HempFest. So anything got 100,000 people, that's a soft target.
Right.
And so they would come in at like 7 a.m, all 3 days, with these bomb dogs. They weren't drug dogs, and they would go around, our stages and the large, structures and stuff real quick, to make sure that there wasn't a bomb. And we're like, you know what? We're all about it. Absolutely. It seemed like a responsible thing to do. And people are like, why are you letting them do that? And stuff. But I think the thing is that people can understand from our approach.
Right.
100,000 people smoking pot. Nobody's arrested. Not even a citation issued.
Right, but marijuana is safer than alcohol, and it's the gateway drug to the munchies.
It's the gateway to economic recovery for America if we did it right.
If you get it right, yeah. End prohibition, everybody. Jeff Eichen on episode 279 with Vivian McPeak. We're talking about his incredible HempFest that he was helping for so many years. HempFest is the best. And I heard Paul told me that there was just recently another HempFest in Oregon or somewhere, Texas.
Well, we've got some licensed Seattle HempFests. There's the Boise HempFest just happened in Idaho, and the Alaska HempFest. I believe that's happening this year, and then the Oregon HempFest happened not long ago as well, in Umpqua, Oregon. And those are all events that are licensed by the Seattle HempFest. that are educational events and responsible. And they got first aid, they got water, which some pot concerts don't even bother to have water for their people and stuff.
Amazingly irresponsible, right? Well, everybody, it's Jeff Eichen here, and we've got some time left here. We're talking to Vivian about HempFest all day today, and it's just an honor and a pleasure to be around somebody who understands, the culture. I mean, we came from, Teach the Children Well. That was all the way back in '69 down, with Stash Wagner when he wrote Don't Bogart That Joint. And we'll have Stash back, we'll have Tommy back, but today we have Vivian McPeak. We're really excited and happy to be in the lounge here with Vivian McPeak. What would you say to the children right now that we're going to be training to maybe do the next HempFest? What's a good idea to give them courage that the meanies and the screamies? I guess what was that? That was Yellow Submarine. The meanies or the screamies? What were they? those guys, when they gave them flowers in the cartoon, they would turn into love children. What would you tell the children right now?
Well, I would tell them, HempFest was the largest annual free speech event in the world for a long time. And you can't have a HempFest without free speech. And free speech is under attack aggressively right now. You can't have a HempFest without democracy. Democracy is under attack. You can't change the laws without the rule of law. And the rule of law is under attack. So we need to stand on the shoulders of giants. We need to be bold and brave and beautiful and step out and put our asses on the line to defend Americans. And that includes the people in jails and prisons for cannabis that don't belong there. And that includes the elderly people and infirmed people who desperately need medical cannabis and access to safe organic medical cannabis, medical grade. We need to fight to get industrial cannabis, industrial hemp, really produced on a wide scale, on an industrial scale, a commercial scale in America, so we can use it to mitigate climate change, which threatens everything and everybody. It's like the ultimate cause. There is no other social cause or political cause that's above climate change, because nothing matters if climate change is allowed to advance unmitigated. We have to fight. We got to fight right now. It's on. The game's on.
Hemp plastic.
The only side to be on, as far as there aren't two sides. There's only one side, and that's the side of truth and justice and democracy and the rule of law. And the rule of law means honest, good, just, fair law and fair representation, right? And fair prosecutions of things that are actual crimes, not victimless crimes like cannabis, right? There is not a crime, right? Can't have a crime without a victim, and the only victim with pot, with weed, is a bag of potato chips is definitely threatened, or a bowl of ice cream's in big trouble. That is beautiful, bro. Very beautiful.
So everybody, listen to your Papa Bear here, who spent 20, 30 years on the road. Tell us about your magazine that you work for.
Yeah, I'm the managing editor of Skunk Magazine, and Skunk Magazine is one of the original legacy magazines. Cannabis cultivation, all organic, regenerative cannabis cultivation emphasis. It's a magazine that runs off of Gaia principles, of the Green Renaissance, of environmental restoration and preservation, and activation. And Skunk Magazine not only celebrates the modern and current cannabis culture and industry, but it also acknowledges and pays homage to the legacy cannabis culture and the legacy market and the legacy cultivation leaders who made all this possible, right? And are struggling right now to try to survive this conversion that's happening, and the kind of corporate carpet bagging that takes place whenever there's a lot of money to be made, and there's a new emerging nascent industry. There's people that come that weren't a part of making it legal or weren't a part of developing that industry, that want to like rush in and dominate because they have the money and the investors and the lawyers and the political influence to be able to do that. So it's struggle on all sides right now, man, and the struggle is real, and it's perpetual, man. And we need to stand up and fight. And Skunk is behind that, and that's why I'm with Skunk. That's why I believe in Skunk Magazine. And there's actually, we started doing a new thing called the Canvas Guidebook, and that's like a little mini magazine. It showed up in Berlin, and it showed up in California recently at the Hall of Flowers event, and it's a really cool new Skunk project because everything's local and everything has community, and communities need specific things that are tailored to that community and to that.
And are you in print or just online?
We're both. We're still in print, baby. We are still in print. So just search out Skunk Magazine online.
Look, I got one on my front page here.
Yep, I'm seeing it, man.
Yeah, there it is. So everybody, go get your Skunk. Vivian's managing editor, and we should do a story on the podcasters. And I'm a podcaster, and we would love to.
I've been known to do 400 or more, 450 interviews on podcasts myself.
Yeah, I know. What days are your shows happening?
My shows are pre-recorded on Hemp Present on CannabisRadio.com, and like I said, I've done over 420 interviews over the last 10 years. And you've been on my show.
Yeah, a couple times. Yeah.
That's right, man. It's very incestuous here. And it's good. I'm going to take a skunk hit right now, if nobody cares.
So we are imbibing on the incredible skunk world. We got incredible protestival king and queen at the same time, because we don't have any gender benders here. I mean, what the hell?
Can I just say to that? We used to say that it takes a lot of hemp festrogen or protesticles to throw a hemp fest.
Well, everybody, we're at the top of the hour. We got like 10 minutes left. I'm gonna play. Just sit back a minute and let's. I got some Timothy Leary on our opening here. Let's take a look at our opening and then we'll call it a day. So sit back for a minute. Thank you for showing up here and telling us beautiful stories today. Those are so fucking fun. And I'm gonna go get our intro that we never did as our outro, and here we go, everybody. Let's see. Vivian, tell me if you can hear this, and here we go.
I'm hearing
Today
it, brother.
we remember all the people left in jail, in prison, in the slammer for marijuana. Please, let's end prohibition this lifetime and not get caught up in a rhetoric. Stay focused and look out for our concert. We're going to do it. I promise you. Hemp Hemp Hooray. Enjoy the show. We had the wall here in Port Townsend, everybody. It's traveling around America. The Vietnam Wall. Don't miss it if it comes to your town. And I was there 4 nights and days in a row photographing the wall. It was the most amazing thing. It opened my heart, and I met a lot of people, these people included, that were in Vietnam. So don't let war get you down. Just stop it. End it. Stop making bullets, everybody, and smoke more pot. Make love, not war. Make love, not war. But this is the photography I did photographing the wall. That's one night when my camera malfunctioned and got that beautiful shot. That is at night. The wall was lit up, and that's my panorama view. I know nothing. I just take pictures and try to bring the story home. All these people died, everybody, and there's people in jail for pot that are dying. So stay focused on opening your heart and knowing that these people were once 20 years old and hanging and watching Led Zeppelin and you know, dancing their hearts out. So it's really important to follow your dreams, to end prohibition. Good afternoon, everybody. Is this thing on? Tap, tap, tap. I think we're going to have a wonderful show today. We're going to welcome home Stash Wagner family. Don't bogart that joint from the Philippines. Thank you. And don't forget to donate to their cause and welcoming them home fund. So that's cool. We have a nice GoFundMe site for them. And everybody else in the universe, let's end prohibition today. That's the site I made for Stash Wagner. Help them reestablish themselves and let us make the song. Don't bogart that joint again. And don't forget, it's Edwin's birthday today on Freedom. We want Edwin to not spend one more. I talked to Edwin this week after 6 months. He didn't have a phone. They nabbed his phone. Home, and he was in jail for 50 years. Edwin's been in jail for 37 or 36. And I'm going to go see him soon. Hello, y'all. We heard from Edwin this week. Hello, everybody. It is time to welcome home the Stash family, and I'm really proud to be friends with Lawrence, the writer, the original. Don't bogart that joint, my friend. Pass it over to me. Like my voice, so, everybody. I'm pretty good. They are just stepping on to the soil here, and they need a car and your help. So don't forget the GoFundMe. And if you have an extra car, you want to do a write-off, bring it on. Love you, Stash. I get joy out of helping people. So go to the QR code and put some dough in the pot for the Stash family. And let's not forget Jack Harrer, the father of the movement. Oh, my Papa and Baja, I miss you. Episode 279, everybody. I saw Russell sneak in. Hi, Russell. There's Oakland Coliseum, everybody. We're going to do it. Forward with our concert plans to gather a lot of people together to end prohibition, to raise awareness and raise money for the prisoners in and out of jail, and for the legal faction that can help to get to the White House to end prohibition in our lifetime.
Baked up a fresh knuckle sandwich if anybody wants one.
Till we get the license, don't bogart that joint, my friend. Pass it over to me. Roll another one. That was us at Just Live. Hempfest, everybody. Love you, everybody here. Host with the most. Let's get it on and have a concert in 2025. That's our Relief Foundation, everybody. Hep hooray. 1, 2, 3. Hep hooray!
The world come together as Timothy Leary's campaign song. People hear that on the radio all the time. That song plays well. That's the theme song for Timothy Leary's governor race. He was going to run against Ronald Reagan as governor.
Let the kids get high. As a matter of fact, President Nixon, why don't we all turn on together?
At the time, the government probably feared Tim Leary more than they feared anybody. Nixon.
All of our brave warriors. Thank you, Vivian, for stepping in today.
Wage what I have called total war against public enemy number one in the United States.
Time's up, everybody. Thank you to the all brave souls that are helping to end prohibition. Please support us. Our concert is coming. Okay, parade. There will be a memorial for Richard around November 9th, I believe. Thank you, Richard. In the San Francisco Bay Area. So stay tuned and we'll give you more information on the following show. We'll do more about Richard Lee. Thank you, Richard, for all your incredible mentorship and time and energy and Planet Walk and helping us end prohibition.
Hey, you look now. Yeah, what do you mean homeless? What do you mean homeless? This is a Cannabago. I drive across the United States.
Cannabago.
Fighting to get our cannabis prisoners out of jail. Nobody belongs in jail for weed. And it needs to be federally legal. And my legal name is 420 Jim. So you keyboard warrior bullshit, don't bother me. What do you mean if you had the money, you'd take care of homeless? You're full of crap. Why don't you just do the right thing, put love in your heart, help people that are really homeless? Don't be keyboard warriors like you are. You know, that's just plain wrong. Peace, love, and cannabis for all. Go to 420gym.com, sign the petition today. Nobody belongs in jail for weed, my friends. Peace and love to all. Oh, look how stupid I get and make you look now. Yeah, what do you mean homeless?
That's 420 Jim, everybody. Remember the fallen, everybody. That's all I got. I don't know what happened to Russell, but Russell came in for a second. We got Vivian McPeak on, and tell us a little bit about how your heart is feeling and any final words.
Yes, these are challenging times. They're going to get more challenging. They're going to get hard. They're going to get dark. And we need to shine the light. We are the people we've been waiting for. We need to be the light at the end of our tunnels. We need to radiate peace and love and truth and justice and community. Community is commune and unity together, right? When you commune in unity, you've got community. And we need to make that a reality, and we need to look to our brothers and sisters that are within our vicinity. Because, you know, fear is false expectations appearing real, and hope is helping others perceive enlightenment. And we got to increase the peace and silence the violence, right? And we do that by being active and getting involved. And so look for the community groups that are around you that are doing the work for justice and reform and democracy. Get involved, you know, join in, man, because it's its own reward. We can do this. We can get people out of jails and prisons. We can save democracy. We can defend free speech. We can do all this stuff. We only do it when we come together because we're stronger united than divided. That's my crazy Vivian rant for today, Jeff.
Listen to Papa Bear here. Give us a rap.
I come from a time in an ancient land. I got love in my heart, I got my head in the sand. I'm a spirit rider from the land of the light. I see what is wrong. I know it is right. There's one ideal, and it comes from the self. The side is true. The side is true. Inside of you is truth. Got the clue. Now you can. I mean, man, I'm getting all fucked up, bro. I just took some big dab hits there.
At the, it's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
That's right, man. She eats tofu and granola too. She's a green sprout with a green dragon tattoo. I can tell when I'm licked, I will cry, uncle. She makes love like George of the Jungle. Pass me the glass with the nectar of nature. I'm not concerned about nomenclature. I'll survive as a shaft of light. Say goodbye to the planet when the time is right. Truth, love, liberty, flowing from the freedom of democracy, but inside that crowded police station, annihilation of a nation. We have the will and the power to make it. We have the truth. We don't need to fake it. We are the light. of love. You will get strength to end prohibition from the powers above. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it, bro, even though I fucked it up.
That's all we got today, everybody. It's episode 279. We're going to make it to 420 one of these days. And we love you dearly, Viv. We'll talk to you on a daily basis. I've got, there's, Washington State is having Rainbow Gathering this weekend.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. A regional. Awesome.
Rainbow Gathering is this weekend. It's down in, it's on the coast somewhere, 2 hours from me, from Port Townsend. So I'm not sure exactly, but I've got all the deets if you need them, want them, and I'll be around later. But in the meantime, keep organized, everybody, in your thoughts, your heart, your mind, your soul, and don't forget that BMW is making all their cars out of hemp, and there's another company that's making an all hemp car, and there's somebody who's making a car on like cosmic vibrations, and the engine is now being manufactured in Zimbabwe. So there are alternatives to war, hatred, and misdeeds, like having prisoners in jail for pot. So everybody, follow your heart, and you can do it. Look at that. There's a cannabis cup there, High Times hat that I'm wearing, and I want everybody to step up in your own way, in your own heart. Look out for my hemp museum I'm going to start doing. Hang on, I'm going to show you some hemp art here. So this is my hemp art, everybody. And
Gorgeous.
And then
Always gorgeous.
Here's another photograph that I did. Okay, that's going in the gallery. Look at that shot, dude.
That's stuff right there, man. You got it going on, bro.
And then I got one more here, everybody. This is White Widow. That's my photo of White Widow. So these will be available on our cannabis gallery, and we're going to be printing on hemp paper, and we're going to have a call out for all you artists to produce files that we're going to jury, and we're going to print them on hemp paper. And so I'm in my studio here, and my big printer is back there. So we're going to have a hemp gallery. So let's do it and have a really incredible time. Don't forget that I'm going to have a call for the film festival, the International Cannabis Film Festival that I own also. So in between it all, send me an angel. I know you're out there, Canna Angels, to help me produce my life, my projects, my party, and to go dance, just to go out. I'm open. So that's it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And Vivian, hemp, hooray.
Hooray.
Okay, everybody, that's all I got today.
Relief for the prisoners.
Okay. So everybody, I'm still on here. I'm going to go fetch our stuff here. So end stream, we are here, G420. So let's see here. Add to stage. How do we get that? Boom. Is that the one? There we are. We're here, everybody. So it's been a great show. I hope you enjoyed it, and listening to Vivian tell the full story. This is the first time we had the full story on HempFest. So that's an amazing thing, and we love you so much. Thank you so much. Peace in the Middle East. See you next week.